Hello and welcome to our video essay about the chemistry of pesticides. Pesticides first started off as a way to kill off insects from farmers' crops. By using certain chemical compounds, these pesticides were able to kill insects far faster than any other option. Though this solution wouldn't come without its downsides. Since pesticides are coated over the fruit and crops of farmers, it could potentially be harmful to people if consumed. The side effects of consuming pesticides can include birth defects and an increased rate of cancer and other diseases. Pesticides can also create superbugs. This happens when the pesticide is used over the course of a few seasons in the same crop field, which makes bugs more resistant to the pesticides. Unfortunately, due to how effective pesticides were at killing people, they were used in war.
It is now Vietnam time. Let's see the main government tool. Herbicides, aka Agent Orange. Agent Orange was massively produced, used 20 times the manufacturers recommend on usual plants. The main reason of this was to have our helicopters drop in soldiers and give them air support against the Viet Cong. They were the pesticide was very, very effective at this job. It killed a lot of plants and it gave a lots and lots of death to domestic animals. They gave them psychological symptoms, miscarriages, cancer like Hawkins disease and prostate cancer, and of course, leukemia. And for the children that did survive, well, they kind of got all sorts of birth defects like type 2 diabetes, which isn't very pleasant.
Pesticides are categorized into many different types of groups. There are different types of pesticides that take care of all types of pests, such as herbicides, insecticides, fungicides. All of these are classified as pesticides because they all take care of pests. Pesticides is like the general word for all. The use of these pesticides can vary from them being used on farmers' crops to them being used inside of homes, with them having the same outcome. Insecticides are chemicals that are used to kill insects. Herbicides are chemicals that are used to kill types of vegetation, such as plants and grass. Rodenticides are used to kill rodents, such as mice and rats. Rodenticides work by the ingestion of the pesticide. So the most common type of pesticide is insecticide. They are used to kill a broad range of insects, including ants, cockroaches, and crickets. Most of the time, insecticides are harmless and are short term, which means they kill the insect within a very fast amount of time. They do this by attacking the nervous system of the insect and making it immobile. But if there's a consistent infestation of insects, then insecticides can be used as more of a long-term solution to get rid of them. Herbicides are used to kill unwanted vegetation, such as weeds and brush. Herbicides are mostly used to kill weeds for gardening and crops. Fungicides also work in a similar way. With contact to the fungus, it will die from the pesticide. Although fungicide and herbicides are separate in the classification of pesticides.
Rodenticide is used against rats and mice, mainly in houses, but it's also used in gardens occasionally, if you ever have that pesky rat. How it works is by indigestion and by anticoagulants. Basically, if the rat eats the poison, then it's gonna attack the nervous system and it's gonna just fall on the floor and die. Some, if not most, rodent-side traps use them. It's because it's very effective, and sometimes there's a second chemical added on. This is to help, in case a human accidentally eats it, not die. It forces the human to throw up, but it does not do this to the rat, interestingly enough.
Biocides are the most deadly type of pesticides since they could harm any living thing. Usually these type of pesticides are used in warfare, although the severity of this pesticide can vary greatly. Pheromones are another type of pesticide, although it's a little different from many. Pheromones attract one sex of an insect. Depending on the type of pheromone, it could disrupt the sexual behavior of the insect, which will make it unable to reproduce for quite a while. Growth regulators are the final type of pesticide. These pesticides can interfere with the growth stage of the insect, making it unable to grow. Because this insect can't mature, it cannot reproduce, ultimately reducing the amount of insects. Growth regulators can also be applied to plants. Similar to the insect growth regulators, these could prevent the weed or the undesired plant from maturing and creating more seeds. Unlike herbicides, growth regulators don't kill the plant. They just stop it from maturing and making seeds to make more. Although herbicides are more common and are more used than growth regulators.
The history of insecticides. Well, you've heard from my friend all the types of insecticides, there's quite a bit. The history of them starts in 1874. Is when it was first synthesized by an Australian named Othmer Zilder. He was a chemist. He created a chemical called DDT. We didn't really start using DDT, and when I mean I mean the US. We barely started using it back in the 1930s. Then it became widespread in the 1950s, but eventually sheep immunity kind of helped the insects survive DDT, so now most insects that we're trying to fight against are immune to it. It also caused quite a bit of environmental harm. It remains in the environment for 15 years and soluble to water. It's a very big problem in pollution. It's highly pollutable, especially for the 15 years it stays.
As stated on earlier in the video, superbugs are caused by the same pesticide being used over a long duration, over several generations of insects. These bugs are more resistant to the pesticide. To counteract these superbugs, it is suggested that you use different types of insecticide to reduce the chance of it being resistant.
We covered a lot, and as you can see, pesticides go all the way back to the 1930s. Back when it was first used, out all the way into war for biochemical warfare. That was very interesting, wasn't it? And then it continues now, where we have many sorts of pesticides to cater to any of our little pest problems, and how they kill everything in the crossfire, like our good old bees. This concludes our presentation about pesticides. You've learned quite a bit, like how there's all sorts of pesticides, which is very interesting, from biocides, defoliants, descients, fungicide, herbicides, insect growth regulation, insecticides, of course, the most obvious one, molluscides, nematicides, micropesticides, molluscides, nematicides, ovicides, phenomenus, plant growth regulation. Quite a bit overall now that you think about it. There's still quite a bit, and quite a few interesting ones, like biocides. killing all sorts of organisms. There's practically a pesticide for anything that you want dead, including the plants themselves. Anyways, I hope you have a good day. Goodbye, and see you next time.